Hello and welcome to my studio. In this video I'm going to show you how I made this picture. Being able to produce a graduated background is a valuable skill and is useful for a variety of subjects. Its use in this picture helps concentrate the composition and leads the eye around the subject. And in this video I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. Okay, so what I've got set up so far. This is the subject. I've got these blackberries just on this piece of wood, which I've clamped to this C-stand, just to hold it all in place. Now in front of that I have a tripod with a geared centre column and a geared head. That'll give you an awful lot of control. And then for actually capturing the image, I'll use a full frame digital SLR with a 24-70 zoom lens on the front and a flash sync trigger on the top. The camera's tethered into Capture One software, so it's easy to see the results as we go along. Okay, so to line up the shot then, I'll just pop the camera on this tripod. Okay, so to get a better composition, I think I'll just drop this down on the centre column on the tripod to about there somewhere, and I'll also zoom that in all the way to the 70mm end, something like that. There we go. Okay, so with that done, next thing I'll do is just take a test image just to make sure I don't get any contamination from the house lights. So I'll turn the camera on, and the software has recognised the camera, and these are the settings that are on the camera at the moment. So it's in manual mode. I have a shutter speed of 1/250th of a second, which is the flash sync speed for that camera, ISO 100, and at the moment I'm using an aperture of f8. Now that's probably going to change, but it's a good starting point. So with those settings, I just grab an image. There we go. So that just proves that with no flash I get no picture, which is exactly what I want. So all the light that I add with flash will be the only light that we record on the sensor. Right, so the first thing to do then is to set up a background. And this is all about making a graduated background really. So for that background, what I'm going to do is just use this C-stand. I'm going to place this at the back here, about here somewhere, like that. And on this, I'm going to place a piece of card. So here I have a piece of mount board, and this is grey on one side and it's white on the other. Now using grey card gives you the advantage that you don't need quite so much energy from the flash that you'll use to illuminate this, as if it was a black card. This would work with black card, but you just need quite a lot more energy to do it. Okay, so with that in an arbitrary position, what we'll try and do is set it up so that the card fills the frame in the viewfinder. So to help me do that, what I'm going to do is just go to live view on the software here. There we are, and you can see the card more or less in the background. So what I'll do is zoom the lens out ever so slightly on the camera, like that. And now we'll try and get the card in something like the right place. So the first thing I need to do is just bring this up in the air a bit. About there, I think. And I think from side to side it's about right. So I'll just zoom that in a little more. And it just needs to come this way ever so slightly. So we'll just move that ever so slightly like that. So with that now more or less in the right position, what I'll do is come out of live view, and now we'll think about how we're going to illuminate that to give us this graduated background. Now for that, I'm going to use a studio flash, and this is a Profoto B1X. This is a 500 joule battery powered flash, and on the front of that I have this zoom reflector, which is just a standard reflector really. So what we'll do is just place this in the middle here, something like that, a reasonable distance away from the background. Okay, I'll just turn that on, which I can do from the remote. So I'll select that head, turn it on, there we go, and at an arbitrary energy level I'll just grab a picture and we'll see what sort of illumination we get. So that's not too bad. It's not really very concentrated. There is a graduation across here, but I aren't getting a lot of difference between the edge and the centre. So what I can do is alter the position of the zoom reflector initially. So what I'll do is just bring this forward so it zooms everything in a bit more. So we'll just move that to there. And now I'll grab another image, and we'll see what difference that makes. There, now that's quite a lot more concentrated. As you can see at the edges here, that is very nearly black, and it's quite bright in the middle. In fact, it's probably a bit too bright. So I might take a couple of stops off that. So we'll just do that. So I've just taken that down by 2 stops. So that's much more moody. That's much more the sort of thing that I want. Okay, so with that done, the next thing to do would be thinking about how to illuminate the subject. Now for that, I'm going to use another B1X, this time with a 2 foot by 2 foot softbox on the front of it. So I want to put this in relatively close, something like that. Let's just put this up in the air a little. And just pop that in like that. Now I'm getting this very close so that the fall off from this is actually quite abrupt. And also, because it's quite a large distance away from the background here, due to the inverse square law, this isn't going to be affecting this very much at all. Okay, so with that in something like the right position, we'll turn that head on. So I'll select that head, just turn it on. And again, at an arbitrary energy level, I'll just grab an image to assess the exposure. Okay, so that's not bad, but I think it needs a little more. So I might just take that up by 2 stops. So I'll just add 2 stops of energy to this head. Grab another image and see what we get this time. There, that's quite a lot punchier. So we've got some nice highlights in all the berries, which is what I wanted. But as it is, it's a little boring. So what I might do is just feather this light away ever so slightly, just like this. Now the idea of doing this is so that it will take down this bright area right at the back here, hopefully, if I got it in the right place. We'll see how we go. There we are, that's better. So this is what we had before, and this is what we've got now. So it's taken this bit down. But just looking around that image, I can see that we've actually introduced a small amount of flare into the image here, and that will be degrading the background. So what I need to do is just flag that off. So what I'll use is just a piece of card, and we'll just hold that in place and see if that's enough to stop the flare. So I'll just hold that there, like that. There we go. Yes, that seems to have done the trick. So that's with the card in place, and that's without it. So that's made quite a large difference, and we're really starting to get there as far as the image is concerned. But the background is still just black and white. So I'm going to add some colour to that with this filter. Now this is just a light green, but you just need to add something which will complement the composition. Okay, so I'll just place that on the front of the element there. There we go. So with that in place, let's grab another image, see what we get this time. There we are. So that's added a slight green tint. Right, so the next thing to do is just address the focus that we have within the image here. I think I need a bit more depth of field. So what I'm going to do is increase the aperture from f8 to f16. Now that's a 2-stop increase in energy requirement, so what I'll do is just add 2 stops to all the flashes. There we go. So with that done, and this time holding in the flag, there we are. Oh yes, that's made quite a large improvement. So this is what we had before, and this is what we've got now. So it's coming along quite nicely, but I think I'd still like to concentrate the graduation a little more. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is just move this light a little closer to the background. So I'll just move that, and I'm not moving it very much, maybe 150 millimeters, something like that. There we go. And I'm keeping the head parallel to the background. That will stop it becoming egg-shaped. So we'll see what we get this time. Okay. Oh yes, and we can see in here we've got all the flare back because I forgot the flag. So let's just pop the flag back in and give that another go. There, that's quite a lot better, I think. So that's what we had before, and that's what I've got now, having moved the light. Okay, so I think as far as capturing the image is concerned, that's it. So I'll just export that to Photoshop and do the bare minimum of post-production. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop, and I've opened up the file of the image that I captured earlier. So the first thing to do would be to make a copy of this so that I can edit the copy and leave the camera original alone. Now, the way I prefer to do this is to just make a copy of the layer. So going onto the layer, what I'll do is just right-click the mouse, ask for a duplicate layer, but ask for a new document. I'll just call this BlackBerry. There we go. So this is the copy, so I can now dispense with the camera original. There we go. So this is what I will be editing. Right, so I think the first thing that I'd like to do is just alter the tones within the image ever so slightly. So what I'm going to do is just add an adjustment layer. So go on to adjustments and just add a levels adjustment. and I'm just going to change the overall contrast within the image. So this is quite a sensitive slider, as you can see, and it's quite easy to go too far. But I just want to concentrate that ever so slightly, something like that. There we are. So with that done, I think I might just try and add a little more bite to the image. So I'm just going to click on the background here. And again, just for redundancy, I'm just going to duplicate that. Duplicate layer, there we go, background copy. So staying on the background copy layer, I'll just go up to Filter, come down to Sharpen, and use the Smart Sharpen command, just to add a very small amount of bite. As you can see, again, these sliders are very sensitive, and it's very easy to go too far. But I think what I need to do is be around about here somewhere. I'm just doing this by eye, just looking at the monitor. There we are, something like that. And now just click on OK. So that's with the sharpening effect added, and that's without it. It just adds a tiny little bit of bite. OK, and then finally, I'll just add a crop. Now I'm using this for video, so I'm going to use a specific ratio, 16:9. So I'll just recompose the image ever so slightly, something like that. I might just bring that side in ever a little bit. There we are. I don't think I need to do very much. We'll just click on the commit button. Yeah, and I'd just like to take this corner down as well, I think, now that I've got it cropped to the correct shape. Just to concentrate the image a bit. So again, there's lots of different ways to do that. What I would do is just go up to the very top of the stack there and add a new layer. And on this layer, I'm literally just going to paint this corner in black. So making sure black is the foreground color. Grab a paintbrush. Make it very soft and quite large. And we'll just take that down ever so slightly, just like that. Now as it's on another layer, it doesn't really matter if you make a mistake or you want to alter it, because this is completely independent of the rest of the image. So for instance, if I wanted to change the opacity of that, just to lessen the effect a little, something like that, I can quite happily do that. Okay, so that's without it, and that's with it. So there we have it. Adding the graduated background has really concentrated the composition of the image, and it leads the eye around the center of the subject. And together with careful lighting, I think that has made quite a nice study, and all in all, that's turned out rather well. Okay, well I hope you liked watching how I made that image, and if you like watching these sort of things, do click on the other images as they appear. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and click the like button. Thank you very much for watching.